Hey everybody! So I've had some questions about the different kinds of paper, so today I thought we would do a quick video on coloring skin on Neenah, Copic X-Press and Cryogen paper. So I'm going to use this cute Spellbinder Tilda as my example, and I'm going to use my go-to skin colors of E21, E00, and E000, and for the cheeks I'm going to use R20 and R30. If you do not like these colors, I've posted a bunch of different skin tones onto the store blog. You can go there and you can always choose a different skin tone than the one that I use every time. This is just my favorite, and I use it for every image I color until I find one I really love, and then I'll change colors. But you can always, pick your own colors when you from the store blog or blog hop and find a bunch more. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so let's get started. I've uncapped all my pins just so you don't have to hear me snap the lids on all the time. And for this coloring, I'm going to use Cryogen paper because that's the paper that the person having a problem with is coloring on, and so I wanted to see if there was a huge difference for me to color it. So I'm going to color this image with my colors. So I'm going to start with E21, and I'm just going to lightly brush a little bit from the side over here like this, and I'm going to give her a little dab underneath of her chin. Then I'm going to grab E00, and I'm going to lightly feather over the top of the E21, and then color in the rest of her neck. And it also helps if you find that your pen is dragging, that maybe it's getting dry. You may want to re-ink them. That's also a consideration as to why they're not coloring so well. So now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to start on her face, and I'm going to move my image around while I'm coloring this time just so that I can get the feel that I colored them all the same for you, and that way you'll know, that I didn't, when I color straight I have to move my arm around, and I tend to color a little bit different than I would if it was me coloring by myself. So I'm laying down my shadow color like that, and my line is just enough to come along and touch this bottom dot right here, and the same with this one. So it's not very wide, but her face, if you look at it, it's also tilted a little bit to this side. So I'm going to add a little bit more shadows over here on this side of her face. So I'm just going to go back in and make my line just a little bit darker, a little bit wider, not darker, on this side. Just a little bit. So it kind of curves out to this second dot right here and then kind of flows around in the corner right here. And then I'm going to grab E00, and I'm going to lightly brush over the top of my E21 that I just, before I do that, let me show you the back. And so there's, you can see right here, just a little bit of my ink soaking through, and that was on her neck because I put both colors on. So up here where her face is, there's no ink yet. Okay, so now I'm just going to go with my E00. I'm going to lightly flick over the top of my E21. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and there's still a line showing on there, so I'm going to go back up at the top, and I'm going to lightly go over that line just a little bit again until I can't see it anymore. And I may, instead of flicking it, maybe just rub it just a little bit down like that, and see, the line has disappeared. So let's flip it over and do this side. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to lightly go right along the edge all the way up here to her hair, to her hairs where her bangs is, but there's still a line there, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to lightly again go over that and just give it a little bit more work there. Okay, like that, and my line has disappeared. Let's see what the back looks like. So there's the back, and so you can see just the outline of her face coming through just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to grab E000, and I'm going to color in the rest of her face. So I'm going to flick clear across. So I'm going to start over here at the edge, and I'm just going to flick it into the middle, like that. And then I'm going to turn it so I can do this side. And I'm going to lightly flick through on this side, like that. So there's my third layer of color. Let's see what the back looks like. So there's the back. Not much change with that color because I didn't put very much on. Okay, so now I'm going to add the cheek color. So I'm going to start with R20. And for this cheek over here, just going to lightly brush it on like this. Let's do this cheek. Like that. Let's see what the back looks like. And there's the back. I can't see the cheek color on there. And now I'm going to add R30. And so for R30, I just lightly dab right here along the edges of my R20 just to soften them just a little bit. And I know they look terrible, but that's okay. We're going to fix that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my E21. And because I started with the E21 over on this side, I made my line a little bit darker. I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So I'm just going to flick a little bit of color on here, just adding a little bit more to the side there to her face. And then I'm going to grab E00, and I want to soften my line, so I'm going to go right over the top of that. And I'm going to go out here past her cheek, like that. And I'm going to turn it so I can do this side. And I'm just using this to, I go over it again so I can blend her cheeks a little bit more. Like that. Let's see what the back looks like. So there's the back. Not too much change. And let's add E000 to this. So again, I start over here on the very edge and I just brush it lightly across using, and I don't just use the tip when I go across with this lightest color. I kind of tip my pen more sideways so I could get more of my pen use out of it. And so that is her entire face colored. And let me zoom out. So I've got her face colored on the Cryogen paper, and let's see what the back looked like. So there is the back, and you can see a little bit of outline where it's come through, and I do have my paper on top of another paper, so in case it bleeds through, the paper behind it can suck up a little bit of that ink. So here's my Cryogen paper. Here's one colored with Neenah, and let me flip it over so you can see the back. And see, there's a lot more color coming through on this paper. And the front again, so that's Neenah. And then this one is Copic X-Press It. And the back. And there's quite a bit on the back of that one too. And the front. So let me see if I can get the camera to show you maybe all three girls here. So I've got all three of my girls colored. And let me change this Cryogen one for the one I colored when I wasn't on camera, so it kind of, I colored them all at the same speed on when I was by myself. So there we've got all three girls. They all look pretty much the same. I'm going to say that this Cryogen paper is darker. And then next we have the Neenah one, and then the Copic Express is the lightest colored one. The Copic X-Press paper is whiter, and it seems more, I don't know, smooth or shiny when you touch it. It doesn't seem rough. It's really nice. And then you got the Neenah, and again, it's kind of an off-white. It's white, but it's not really white. More like an eggshell kind of color. And it's not as smooth when you run your finger on it as the Copic. And then we have the Cryogen paper. Again, it's not white either. It appears to be a little bit darker shade than the Neenah. Maybe just a one shade darker eggshell color. And when you rub your finger on that, it's pretty smooth too. I would say it's probably as smooth as the Neenah or the Copic paper. But for me, the coloring for the best one for me was the Neenah because I use it all the time. It is the smoothest and it has the best blend for me. Now let's see the back, if we can see the back of all three. So here you have the back, and this one right here, this is Cryogen. And then in the middle we have Neenah, And then on the right here, we have the Copic X-Press It. And see on the back, they're all fairly the same soaking through. So I colored them all pretty much the same way I color every time. And the girls all turned out on the front to be pretty much the same color. So, you know, if you're having trouble with one paper, try another one. But it does take practice. Every time you switch papers, you do have to practice. It's not like you can just, not for me anyway, I couldn't just change. I had to practice a little bit. So give it a try different papers, and find the one that works best for you. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.